Today we play golf.
Let me show you how we do it in the pros.
Welcome to Behind the Golf Brand Podcast.
I never miss with the 7-iron.
A conversation with some of the most interesting innovators and entrepreneurs behind the biggest names in golf.
My friends were the golf clubs. I lived on the golf course. I lived on the driving range.
From pro talk.
You should learn something from each and every single round you play in.
To fun from on and off the green.
Why would you play golf if you don't play it for money?
Just let me put the ball in the hole.
This is Behind the Golf Brand Podcast with Paul Liberatore. Behind the Golf Brand Podcast is sponsored by On Point, the revolutionary three-dimensional domed golf ball marker. On Point provides alignment recognition as small as a degree of inaccuracy from the planned course of the putt face angle. Endorsed by Jim Furyk, U.S. Open champion and 17-time PGA Tour winner. On Point alignment technology has been proven to increase putting performance and help lower your score. Visit onpointgolf.us and be sure to use code GA10 for a 10% discount. On Point, make more putts.
What's up, guys? Paul from Golfers Authority. Welcome to the Behind the Golf Brand Podcast. This week, I have my new friend, Andrew Redvanly, a.k.a. the Dutchman from Redvanly Apparel. I call him the Dutchman. I think my only person I called him that. But so here's the story. Redvanly has some freaking cool-ass clothes. Let me start right there. They sent me some clothes and it blew my mind. I was like, I don't really ever say that with apparel. You just like, oh yeah, that's great. No, for real. It's like, they're my new favorite short by far. The pole is really cool too. That's all they sent me because it's getting hot out. But I can't wait to learn more about these guys. We actually kind of run the same circles. That's kind of how we met each other. It was in an email with a bunch of same people. And I was like, hey, we should talk. So anyways, without further ado, welcome to the show, Dutchman.
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate the kind words.
So the first time I talked to him, we were like talking for like an hour or two. And then I was like, are you Italian? He's like, no. He's like, I'm Dutch. And I'm like, okay, you're the Dutchman now. So that's like literally how, like, because I must have liked him if I called him the Dutchman right away.
That's so funny.
He's like, what's up with this guy?
I mean, it's a pretty good nickname. I gotta like it.
It sounds like scary, but like badass. Like you should be like on a sailing vessel. Yeah, we all kind of know the same people. That's how we met. It was love at first sight. We're like, oh, we don't know each other. Why are we on the same email chains? So what is Redvanly without going into too much detail?
Yeah, we're like a modern athletic wear brand that kind of was built and started for guys that were now competing in individual sports. I think, I was a hockey player all throughout college. And then, once,
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Once, you start getting back into when you start your next life of getting a job and, living on your own, all those sort of things after college, I think, I found myself starting to play a lot more golf, a lot more tennis, and friends, going to Equinox and gyms and hiking and just you're doing something athletic, but usually you're doing it on your own or on your own time because we're, obviously getting busier. So long story short was we wanted to build this brand for kind of like your next part of your, life in terms of, competing in individual sports. And that's kind of where like the thought came from. And that's kind of the kind of origin. I
like this guy. This guy's cool. He's a hustler. I'm going to say guys right away. Like first of all, I know you played hockey. Where'd you play hockey at? Like in college?
Suffolk University in Boston.
Were you good? What position did you play?
Left wing.
Nice. So you're left wing. Was you a lefty?
Well, yeah, like hockey's, I'm a righty and everything else. But like with hockey, we think about when you hold the stick, right? Like,
yeah, but you shoot right though. You shoot left.
Well, I shoot on the left side of my body, but your right hand actually is holding the top part of the stick. So think about if you're holding like a hockey stick.
Yeah,
so
but I was the opposite way. I was a right wing.
Yeah, it's weird. Hockey's like the one sport where you get like 50-50 on people from the left or the right side because your right hand is still dominant on the top of the stick. So it just kind of depends on.
I could like dribble, or you want to call it, I can't remember the name of it.
Stick handle.
Stick handle.
I like
it's
that.
Early out here. Shut up. So like, I could do that, no problem. But I was always a right-hander. I love hockey. You have no idea. I love hockey. Like when I grew up, there's only 3 ice rinks in Arizona. So, I mean, that was nothing. And I was one of the few people who actually played hockey out here. I played late. I started playing like junior high, and I like fell in love with the sport. I was like, where has this been my whole life? You know,
you probably were the reason why Austin Matthews started to play. Probably went to one of your games. That's
exactly the reason why. He asked me.
And he saw you and said, "Shit, I got to get going on this."
That's exactly what he said. He was like, "Oh, who's this fat dude on the ice? I'm gonna skate like him." So like my friend, I don't know if you probably don't listen to the podcast, but it's okay. My friend Stefan was on the show, and he's one of the partners in Alignment Pro. And I didn't even know that he was an NHL player. And like we were talking, and he's like, "Oh, I was in the NHL," and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then his other partner was like, "Yeah, he was really good." And I was like, "Oh yeah, how good was he?" And he's like, "Well, he played like 15 years. And he won 2 Stanley Cups." And I was like, "Oh yeah, damn, that dude's good." And so then now,
who was it?
Stefan Yeller. He played for the Avalanche.
Yeah.
And so he also played for Boston and a couple other teams. Dude, he cracks me up. Like this, that whole podcast, all we do is we're talking shit back and forth. But like it's so funny. I don't know. And I loved hockey like in the 90s. I was totally addicted to hockey. Like I didn't after that, like kind of because like you said, right? You go to college, phase 2 of your life, right? And so I know all the players from the 90s. I'm like, "Oh, do you know this guy? Oh, do you know this guy?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Well, who's the hardest player you ever played against?" And he's like, "Mario Lemieux or Jaromir Jagr." Like he's his name always. Sergei Fedorov was really hard. I was like, my mind was like, "Holy crap!" These are like the guys I was like, so.
Yeah.
And then he's at a golf tournament, and he's like, "Oh yeah, who was there?" Oh, he's like, "I'm playing golf with Marty McSorley," and I'm like, "I know who that is. He played for the Kings." I'm like a total like.
No, it's that's funny. We can drop those names. Yeah.
So where'd you grow up in? New Jersey, right?
Yeah, I grew up in northern New Jersey, about like 15 miles from like
the city.
The city, yeah.
Did you play golf like growing up, or just like for fun?
Yeah, I mean, I probably started playing golf, I would say, like maybe when I was like 10 or 11. And I, had no idea really, kind of just like hockey player type of thing. Like I'm going to swing and I still have a little bit. I'm trying to work on that finally with some guys and that can kind of correct that. But yeah, it was something that I always enjoyed the game. I really, really enjoy it. It's the past like 6 or 7 years.
Did you play with your dad?
Not really. He, my dad played once in a while, but it wasn't really like his sport. So I don't really know. He was like, football, baseball, basketball, kind of like your traditional sports. But I don't know. I think I just somehow wanted to kind of get into it a little bit. And I think I, just fell in love with it. It's just a great game, obviously. And it's frustrating. And everyone knows all the ins and outs about why they like golf. But yeah, and I think, in terms of, probably with your next question back to like the brand, I felt like I think golf and tennis and those sports that we kind of picked out were sports that we can kind of go a little above like the, kind of like your base brand clothing and say, hey, we can make this a little bit better. We can do this a little bit differently. I think anytime with a business, it's always easier to be better and to improve and to be more niche than try to compete with some of the conglomerates and say, hey, we're just going to come up with like a cheaper product or maybe like something that's a little bit less. I think because then you're going to lose that way. And I think, the golf industry, the price points, it's like, everybody's in like any decent brand, for a polo, you're looking at like $75 minimum, right? So it's a sport where I think you can kind of do that. If you were doing like basketball clothes, it's really tough because you're competing now with like guys.
You're making like pants and stuff, and like,
or you're making like a t-shirt that could be sold at Dick's for like $17, and then when you find out that the factory says, hey, we can do it for $9, you're like, where are we making like? And then you're competing with those huge brands. So I think it was a good sport to kind of sit there and say, hey, I think we can hit a margin that we need to, and I think we can do something really cool.
So what year did you graduate college?
2009.
Okay, so you graduated in 2009. And then what was your degree in, like marketing?
Marketing, yeah.
And then did you get a job in the city?
So right after school, I was applying for a gig out in Los Angeles at a huge talent agency called Creative Artists Agency, which they're known for primarily, Hollywood talent and music, and they like rep Brad Pitt, George Clooney, all those types of people. But then they bought out the sport division of, I think it might have been at the time, IGM potentially, and they just moved their whole sports agency into CAA. And so the guy that was the head of the hockey department was now out in Los Angeles. So throughout college, I was, I made sure of doing as much as I could, because that's what I thought I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be a sports agent, specifically in the, for the NHL players.
You're going to law school then.
Well, that's what everybody kind of, was mentioning, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because now I'm not doing it.
I'd be a lawyer like me, and
or I would have been doing the same thing, just 4 years of money down the line. But yeah, I had. But this is when the recession was kind of going down, so I was waiting for that gig for I got accepted for the job, but then I had to wait 6-7 months.
Holy crap!
I thought I was going out there, and then it never went through due to everything that went on. So.
That's why I went to law school too, because I was like, I want to go. I wasn't a lawyer then. I was like, I'm going to go to law school. Now it was a good time because there was literally no jobs.
Yeah.
For reals.
Yeah.
So then you're going to move out there, and you waited 7 months, just kind of waiting and trying.
I was in a really weird. I was kind of caddying and just making some cash, and then just waiting. And then eventually there was a guy, a sports agent near, kind of close to where I grew up, and he was, small time, agent, but had a few good guys, and I kind of intern / semi part-time worked with him. And I think that's kind of where I started realizing I don't really think I want to put the amount of effort that I think I would need to into just not just the work, but actually just getting into this business. And then I worked for a talent agency in New York called Gersh, and they are again, a pretty fairly big, actors and musicians and kind of that sort of a talent. And I went there and thought, oh, maybe I'd like it on this side. But actually I was like, oh my goodness, this is way harder than being a sports agent, because you got to remember, these guys, if you rep, let's just say you have Brad Pitt, right? You're reading 15 scripts a week, and it just never ends, right? There's just so much stuff coming.
You never think that when you're you wouldn't ever think that would be a job, right?
Yeah.
You might think, oh, Brad Pitt probably sits on his couch all day and looks at scripts. No, they don't. Right.
But he's got an agent reading him, telling him, hey, you should read this one after I just read 15. Only one's a good one. And then for a sports agent, it's kind of once you're in, it's a dream job. It's you're sitting there and you're going oh, Bryce Harper, you just signed a 12-year contract with the Phillies for $1 billion. So, all right, I'll see you in 12 years and we'll work out, another contract. And then,
and he makes 1%, right? Or 3%. And that's how it works.
Yeah.
They make a percentage. I know.
Yeah.
Up to 10. So it's holy shit, right?
And then you're done one contract, and he's like, I don't need to really deal with Bryce for a while. Granted, okay, he's probably got a team of guys that work on his marketing contracts and things like that. But in terms of the negotiation of the Phillies and him, that's done. And it's not like he's got to read scripts or he's got to keep checking in. He's good once that contract's signed. So there is a lot of I think, but anyways, long story short, I realized I didn't really want to do anything.
You're I don't want to do this.
And that's when I kind of figured there's really no jobs. And
I wanted to.
Right. What do I want to do? This is kind of the time to do something. So that was kind of the push.
So what year was that?
I think it was around probably 2 years after graduation. I realized okay, I'm just going to start a brand. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't really know exactly what I just didn't really know much besides I'm hey, I don't care. I'm going to do something on my own. I have to, because nobody else is hiring, right? I think it was one of those spots where I've always kind of wanted to do something on my own, but this pushed me a lot earlier on because nobody was giving me an option A that would be I'll do this thing later. There really weren't many jobs, and the ones that you could get, the pay was pretty much worse than caddying. So you're sitting there going, I can go up to the club on a weekend and make more money than I'd be making in 2 days on a salary job. So it just kind of
have the rest of the week off to do something else.
Exactly. So it really did help with and I did that for a while. I was even in the first few years of the brand, caddying, and just kind of using that as some sort of an income to kind of continue, I guess you can call it the dream of doing your own thing. And yeah.
So you have two partners, right?
I have one, my cousin, and then also my brother just got involved in the business about 2 years ago. So,
Okay. So
yeah,
because I know it's like you, Eric, and Dave. Right?
Yeah.
So then, who started it with you, Dave or Eric?
It was kind of like one of those things where at the time that I was starting a brand, I was living with Dave, and we've always been super close, more like friends as opposed to cousins.
Brothers.
Yeah. And we, he was working in pharma sales, and I told him about this, and he was like, "This is awesome. I'm all in." And
that's cool.
It was one of those situations where it was like, "Hey, I'm going to kind of like continue to work the day job until the company's ready for me to kind of like jump on board." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'm going to just do everything we can to get us to that point." And so I kind of like operated the company for a few years, pretty much on my own. And then we started to gain more people, and Dave jumped ship, and my brother came on board. We have, a bunch of other good people now with us, and really started to build it up. But those first few years were just kind of like, a complete like learning / grind / like just it's almost like if you wanted to start a business, you kind of like, my opinion is dive into it, right? Like you're going to fail and you're going to like fall down. But if you do it small enough, there's no better experience than actually just like catapulting yourself into it and learning it and kind of being like, because now we're sitting here like 7-8 years in, and we're like, we really, we don't know everything, but I know so much. I feel like I've been in the industry for 35 years. And I think like that really helped those first 3 or 4 years of just kind of like, being so small, but also being able to kind of like, mistakes were not magnified as much.
So then how did you like, you guys are just a bunch of hustlers, right?
Yeah, you can say that for sure.
That's the key, right? Because it's hard. This business is hard. Like I didn't realize how hard it was until you start your own stuff, right? Yeah. Like making content, that's easy. That's easy. Well, not really, but when you actually have a product, that's hard, because it's like now you have competition on all these other things that you'd never really thought you would have, right? Or like, because with the eyes on products and so many people making the same thing, you have to be a hustler. You do, right? And I looked at what's cool, you guys, is like if you go to Redvanly's website, you'll see like there are so many golf courses. It's ridiculous, and they're like not like some little shitty muni that no one's heard of. It's like there are nice courses, and that's not easy to do to get those clients. So, was green grass like how you guys initially started out, or were you online?
Yeah, we had an online store, but I would say our business at that point for the first few years was almost entirely green grass and wholesale. I think that, looking back at it, I don't think we were in a sense big enough to kind of have like the online presence that we have now. But like, I think we were good enough to get into a lot of shops that wanted to have something new, that they wanted to bring a few shirts in, bring, something that was different. So I think we really honed in on that for a while. And now it's been a nice growth of, we've seen the wholesale business really grow the past like couple of years. And then the online business now is, pretty much equal to it. And within the next year, it'll be, probably double it, which is kind of where we want to be. I think we want to have like a really good wholesale business that makes money, that also does a good job of getting your product out there with the right partners and accounts. And then also like a really strong, because obviously everyone knows, your online business is where you really make the money. But at the same time, the wholesale business, I think really does assist with that in terms of,
especially brand awareness.
Especially on the golf side. Like golf is great because it's a golf shop, right? Like, every dude walking in there plays golf. So like whether he's your exact, customer, you think about like different.
You've already like narrowed it down to the buyer. I mean, at that point, it's going to be what age? That's about it, right? Like.
Exactly. So it is a very fine niche like store to like, okay. And usually they're not that big. So you're going in there and you got like 6 or 7 maybe choices for men's brands. So
it's like, it's like Augusta, right? Or some like, cheap shit, like, what I'm talking about? Like it's some cheap shit's like Polo with like the courses, embroidered on there. It's like a $10 polo, and now it's like $50. And it's like, would you ever really wear that? It's like something you get for free, at like a tournament. So it's like it's kind of cool, like that kind of sale, right? Because then people are actually getting cool stuff.
For sure.
So then how many, like initially you're doing green grass, and then is that what you guys were just focusing on while slowly building the online presence then?
Correct. I think we were taking like small bites out of the apple in terms of, what we would be doing marketing wise, how much we would be spending, a lot of things along those lines that were in a sense at the time a little scary for, a brand that, we to this day, we never raised any money. We don't have, funding from, some open, checkbook. And I think, we started this thing knowing like, hey, we can go out of business. We can, if this doesn't work, we could be in a position.
You're back to selling pharmaceuticals, and I'm back to doing
So we basically a little bit took, said, hey, listen, we know on the wholesale business, it's very simple in terms of like figuring out what we need to order, what's sold, how much money we made. It was very kind of ABC, right? And I think the online was kind of like, wait a second, how is this going to work? And are we going to make money? And are we ready to really, because I think with the online business, for anybody, there's these funnels, right? Like you need to be like on point in every area. Your website needs to be phenomenal. Your product needs to be phenomenal. Your ads need to be really strong. Your email marketing needs to be awesome. And then these funnels and how you kind of just keep it going to gain more people.
It's hard as hell. It's so much work. Like you can't, people think, I'm going to start a brand, like everyone starts a brand like every day and they throw it up on Instagram. And it's like, you got the coolest product in the world, but no one's ever going to find you. Right?
Yeah. Or you might just not be. I think the thing too is like, I think that, it's a build up, right? Like, if you're just starting something and you have like, 7 products, it might be harder for you to gain that person to get
spend money on your product.
Exactly. So you might have to go different. You might have to start small and try to get a few accounts to take it, right? Like, and make a little bit of money.
Especially when you're buying stuff, right? It's not, it's like when you actually have stuff in your garage you spent cash for, now it's like a whole other stress level, right? Because now it's like, well, that's money I spent that's tied up. My capital is tied up in these products.
No, it is true. And I think when you have all that kind of going through your head, you're going to make sure that you make, some safer decisions. So I think that's kind of where we were. But we knew that online was where we needed to be. And we just kept trying to work with the right people and like start to really figure out, hey, when do we start, putting the foot to the pedal there a little bit more. And now I think we've got to a spot where it's like, again, it's just like anything else. You do it for a few years and you really start to learn, you really start to see what's working. And then you start getting dialed in and not saying,
exactly. You can't just figure it out on a piece of paper, right? Yeah. You have to literally do it and succeed or fail. And then like you slowly start refining what you're doing. Yeah. Yeah. It's like constant change, right?
And we're still doing it, obviously, but you're right.
But even like stuff you did 10 years ago, you've learned so much, you would never do some of those things ever again.
Oh, right? No.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
But you thought it was a good idea back then, right? Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, and that's the thing too. I feel like there's so much noise in people's inboxes and on social and everything else, even ads, that like you got to be so dialed in or you're going to lose your ass. I mean, if you don't have the capital for that, but it's a constant balance and getting attention to what you're doing. So
I agree.
So when did like things really accelerate for you guys? Like what year was that?
I would say about like two years ago. We started to, we made like, I think there's like a bunch of good changes that were made. We kind of like really went back to the drawing board on some fabrications, and we really started to focus on, I think one of the goals that we had was, I want to make sure that whatever product you buy from us, across the board, you're going to sit there and say, this is pretty much second to none. I'm not saying that ours is going to be, guaranteed the best. But I think as a whole, when you start fabrication wise, start touching our stuff, feeling it across the board, I want people to be like, no matter what I get from these guys, it's really good. And I mean, it's at the top, and I think that was our goal. And we started to make some changes, focusing really hard on, what else is out there? What are people doing? And really testing our stuff against who we're competing with. And that really was the start of, I think, the change. And then we developed, the pull-ons that same year, the short to start, and then the next year, the pant. And I think that really accelerated things too, with back to like online. I think, you have an item, in terms of what I was just speaking with prior about like really good fabrics and stuff, that's kind of a harder sell to somebody like swiping through Instagram.
And nobody gives a shit. Yeah, there is.
Yeah, until they see it or feel it, then you get them. But to get that first guy to buy, those pull-ons were huge, because people are sitting there going, no way, really? Like that got people's attention. And I think it's our key item to, I think, like our like kind of icebreaker item to get somebody into our product. And then once that happens, there goes the floodgates with, if these shorts feel like, what are the
It's the gateway drug.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, for real, it's what it is. It's like, oh shit. Right.
Yeah.
I think every brand needs that,
Yeah.
I mean, like if you just have a polo, everybody has a polo.
Yeah.
Right.
So why is it? Yeah.
Why are you better than Bad Birdie? Or why are you better than whoever?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not like, now you have to argue some other thing, like, right. Like,
Yeah.
we're better. But if you have something that's different, then it's like
nobody has,
and technology nobody has, and design nobody has, and they're freaking cool as hell. Then it's like it's easy to sell a polo because they're like, oh, that matches. All right, cool, I'm gonna buy the polo, right? Or I'm gonna or they have polos. Oh, cool, because I really like these pants, right? Like you got to have a gateway. I really, I mean, I know it sounds kind of silly, but it's true. Like you have to have that one product or products, maybe one or two, like you guys did, and you have multiple colors. But I mean, you got to have that thing so somebody will draw somebody to the site that says this is what really makes you different than everybody else. Because if not, everyone right now would be comparing you guys to everybody else is already out there, right? There's like at least 4 other polo brands that make sport polos. But but so it's like, well, we're not just a polo company, right? Those other brands are not doing pants. None of them are. They're just doing polos, right? Yeah. I don't know. That's so when I got my pants, I didn't even know what they were, right? So here's the story. Like he's like, I'm gonna sit like first time we talked, I'm gonna send you some stuff. I'm like, okay. He's like, no, I want you before we do anything else, I want to see what you think of our stuff. Like, okay, cool. Like I do an unboxing, I do nothing. And I get a package in the mail, and my wife like put it in the studio, and I was like, and she's like, oh, you got a package. And I go, oh, this is from Redvanly, right? I'm like, okay, cool, let's see what this is all about. And then I like, she's like, she was like, oh, well, try them on so I can wash them, right? Typical wife. So like, I put the pants on, and I'm like, whoa, these are not pants. These are something different. Like I was like blown away. Because what it is these are not the typical pant. Like how would you describe these pants? Because I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like
you're not wearing.
It's elastic pants, and it's like it doesn't even look like elastic. It's so comfortable, and it's like stretchy, and you can move. It's almost like we're wearing like workout pants, right? But it looks like a nice pair of khaki pants. It's crazy. It blows your mind. Like for reals, they're comfortable. Like I don't know. I hate wearing like it's not this heavy ass cotton. It's like I don't know. It's just I was blown away. That's the truth. I literally was. There's very few products where I was like, whoa, game changer. Like that was one of them. Just saying.
No, I appreciate that. And they're
patent that stuff. I'm gonna go take it right now. So you guys make the elastic short, and the elastic slacks, right?
And a jogger as well.
And a jogger.
Yep.
Are they all the same material?
All the same. Yeah, those 3 items are. We do 2 different joggers. We do like one that's more of like your kind of active, which is like your typical like elastic with the scrunchie and like kind of just for like the gym or whatever, or just out
at the bottom, right? You're talking about.
Yeah, and then we do the golf jogger, which is the same concept that you just mentioned. With like it doesn't look like it's an elastic waistband, and so we have that. It
seriously looks like a nice pair of slacks. That's what it looks like, right? I mean, I love it, dude. I was like texting him. I was like, holy crap, what did you guys make? Because I was like, oh, great, another polo company going to send me some polos. And then I was like, oh, wait, he sent me some polos and he sent me their pants. I'm like, you better send me some more pants, bro. What a bigger size. Remember I told you that? I was like, oh, I need a bigger size. Remember that? I'm not going to say what I was about. We were laughing. Freaking Dutchman. So then what's your like goal for this year? Like, what are you guys like focusing on? More online sales? That's kind of like your more brand awareness. Like what?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I think we're just starting to just try to reach more, and I think we're at a point right now where we're trying to push that lever down even further and just reach more and more people, because I think we're in a really comfortable spot with willing to bet on ourselves, right? I think we're at a point where, like I mentioned, I think our products are second to none, and I think that we will bet on that when it gets into your hands, and I think that's a great position to be in. So once we're in that, and it's, let's be honest, it's taken 5-6 years to get to that point where you're really like, all right, we've done the work, we've done it for 5-6 years, and we're still going to get better. Don't get me wrong. Like every year,
but now your infrastructure's there.
Yeah.
You like have a foundation. You guys are making money, so now you don't have to worry about it. And like, you're like now
and you're sitting there going, let's keep touching more, because that's what we do this for, right? Like when you hear like what you just said, that's the best part. Like when you hear guys, get the stuff and are just like, these are my favorite pants, these are my favorite shorts, these are my, like, that's what we do it for. At the end of the day, like that's better than any numbers or wherever you want to talk about. Like, I mean, that's awesome. So like, we're just focused on, hey, let's reach more and more people to give them the opportunity to give us a chance, and hopefully it's a mutual relationship where they love them, and we get a customer, and also just the feedback that they love them, which means so much to us. And so I'd say overall, it's like, we're just trying to kind of just take what we're doing now and just go further with it, in terms of touching more and more people digitally. I think where we're at on a wholesale side is, the wholesale business it's a harder business to grow. And I think we're okay with like, maintaining where we're at. Like we're not, because I think on the wholesale side, you don't want to be, in our opinion, we don't want to be in every single golf shop. And the thing is, like, when you think about like a lot of the places that you mentioned that are really great that we sell to, most of the places are private or high-end resort just due to our pricing. And, there's a lot of those places, but before you know it, if you really, let's just say you grow your wholesale,
price yourself out. Yeah. Like there's so many courses like that. You can't go to
and eventually you're at every golf course, and then you're not kind of cool anymore. And then all of a sudden somebody else swoops in and they're like, well, this is new. So I think we want to continue to be new in a lot of shops and keep ourselves exclusive. And even if that means like to not, because we know we can grow on the online business digitally, great, right? That's awesome. But like the wholesale, you're making less margin. It's almost like this is kind of like, it's an important
it's bread
process.
And butter. I mean, because I don't know if you guys know, but wholesale sucks, right? Like, you sell a bunch of stuff, but you're selling for like half of what you could sell for online, like for reals. So it's like, okay, well now your margins are even tighter because they bought 100 pairs of pants, but you've only made half as much as you would if somebody bought 100 pairs. Like, you don't make as much money. And it's nice to have it, right? Because it's because you're only making 50% return on your investment or less, right? And you're like, well, it's just branding and blah, 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 but it's still shitty. I mean,
you kind of hit on it. I think it's somewhere.
That's the truth, right? Like that's exactly. That's why a lot of brands don't do, like, you look at these brands that are out there now, right? That don't do wholesale, right? Like, or they do, but it's very limited, and they don't even tell you who's wholesaling for them, right? So it's almost, because like, for example, I was like talking to a golf course that wants to buy my towels, right? And they own like 5 courses here in the valley, so it's a pretty big conglomerate. Yeah. And they're like, okay, what's your wholesale? And I was like, I told them, and then I did the math, and I'm like, shit. I mean, like that's not like when it's all said and done, it's like I really made any money. I did all the work. I literally did all the work. I probably lost money. No, I probably lose money, but I probably made like nothing. And that's the hard part. It's like, I mean, what do you do though? It's good money. Don't get me wrong. It's just, it could be better, a lot better.
I think it comes down to just managing like what expectations are as a brand or a company with, hey, you look at the pros, right? The pros are, we're getting, but maybe it's head pros that have, some push with the brand that are talking to people, teaching people, the whole marketing aspect, right? So that's a pro. And then you're looking at it and saying, all right, well, it's guaranteed money. We know what we can produce for it, right? And if you get your orders in early enough, which, a lot of companies try to do, then okay, we'll just throw that into the production. Yeah, we might only be making X percentage on it, but it's
who cares?
Right?
We're ordering more, so our prices go down, right? And it's a guaranteed sale. It's not like there's very low risk, right?
And you're getting marketing from it, and you're getting the brand out there. So there's that side, but then like on the other side, like you had mentioned before, if you do it kind of incorrectly and you're trying to like just put, and it's like, wait a second, you don't need to go crazy here because like you said, you might be going crazy for not that much, and you should be more focused on, utilizing that product elsewhere. And, for example, too, you want to talk about touch and reach. It's like, you can reach a ton of, people online, and, your 48 pieces that's sitting in XYZ country club, although that's good, there's maybe 250 members there. How many, like you do the math. So, it's just one of those things where I think they both do help each other out. I just think you gotta know how to manage both, and you got to just sit there and say, this is what we need to do on the wholesale side, and, be okay with, coming up with a plan on it and sticking to it.
No, I think it's cool. Like, cause your price points I think are fair, right? Because it's a high quality product. Like, that price range it's not exorbitant by any means, but it's a higher price point than like what all golf stuff is, right? Like, it doesn't matter what brand it is. You can buy a polo, $70 minimum anywhere, right? Like a decent one, and then all up to 100, And I think like pants, like your pants price points are fine because like they're pants, right? Like, and they're special pants, I guess you call it. Like they're not the normal, cotton shit you buy at the mall, right? Like, and so you guys like fit this really unique mold where it's like performance wear, but it's also like fashionable. You know what I mean? Like, I can see some of the competitors in the polo space. Like once they realize what you guys are doing, they're gonna be like, "Oh, we're gonna do that too." Like you see that with Bad Birdie, like everybody's coming out the same design as Bad Birdie. Like in the last 2 years, like a million copycats, right? And so it's like, I don't know, there's a lot of copycats out there.
And I think like we spoke about before we started, I think that there's a little bit of, I guess that's the nicest way to say we like what you're doing if other people start to kind of.
Yeah. Still pisses you off.
but back to your point though. There's, I think people try to jump onto certain trends and things like that, but you got to be ahead of the game, right? Because because
that trend's only going to last so long. Right? Who knows what's going to end? I'm not saying it's a bad trend or whatever. I'm saying it's going to last so long. So if you're like a one hit wonder, you got to be able to evolve, right? Into something, whatever. And you want to be trendy, but you don't want to be like the trend brand. That's like, okay, we made that. That's cool. Now what? I don't know. I think golf right now is very interesting. Like I was at the golf course yesterday getting lessons. That's right, bitch. I'm going to kick your ass when we play golf. But I probably won't. But so, and I just look around what people are wearing, right? First of all, I'm going to tell you guys, I've never seen, I go as Muni by my house. Every bay was taken still. Every bay, right? So like my instructor and I ended up took the cart, went to the backside of the the backside of the hitting area, the driving range, and we played from back there because that's the only place we go. And normal people can't go back there. And I was like, holy crap, dude. Like golf, I don't care what people say, golf is just as strong this year as it was last year. I know it's not the only sport people can play, but I mean, I even saw people wearing jeans playing golf. And I was like, that person needs to buy a Redvanly pair of pants because who the hell wears jeans to the golf course? That's got to be the most uncomfortable feeling in the world.
No, that's true. That's a tough
So you guys right now, so tell everybody like what you have on. So right now on the site, you have polos, right? You have the pants we talked about, the shorts, which I love. Better send me some more because I'm going to wear them all summer.
On route.
Seriously, I love your polos. I mean, they have everything. They have underwear, they have joggers, they have hoodies. Like, they just have cool clothes. I don't know. You're a special brand, dude. Seriously, you're just different. I don't know.
Thank you, man.
I like finding brands like that where it's just something like, And the only reason why I found you, I didn't know who the hell you were. I mean, I just saw the name. I've seen the name before and like a couple contests you guys did with some of the brands I work with. But like, I didn't really know who you were. I just figured because there's a million. I've seen a lot of apparel brands, not just in golf, but like other ones that I've worked with that I was like, I wasn't that really excited about, but I'm excited about what you guys are doing. So that's good. Kudos to you. You get the Paul seal of approval. Just kidding.
Means a lot.
Even though you're the Dutchman. Does anybody else call you the Dutchman?
No, you are the
I'll tell
first.
Brandon to call you that.
Yeah.
I should have talked to
I gotta give him a call later, actually.
So that's just kind of cool about what I do is like, I just make friends, like I think we're all kind of in the same thing together, right? We're trying to figure out, listen, none of us were trained to do this, right? Like you weren't a professional golfer, like blah, blah, blah. I wasn't, right? We're just dudes like wanting to do something fun in a sport we like or sports we like. So I think that really resonates with the modern golfer. So I think you guys need to check them out. Honestly, Redvanly. What's your URL again? Like redvanly.com.
Yeah, redvanly.com.
That's his last name, by the way. I was like, how'd you come up with that name? He's like, oh, that's my last name. I was gonna do a website with my last name too, but it'd be way too long. I bet it already exists actually. Probably like a porn site. So when are we gonna hang out? Oh wait, you're in New Jersey. Never mind.
I'll be out there. I'll be out there sooner than later. Do you ever come out east or no?
No, but I want to. I think it'd be fun to like go out there.
Well, now's the time. I mean, or the fall is the best, I think, in terms of golf and weather and everything.
It'd be cool, like come out there and like film, like go out there and play like golf with you guys.
Yeah.
Like, a couple of other brands I know that are in the Eastern Seaboard, like just maybe like up by Boston, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of like what I want to do. So I will visit you. Maybe you guys come out to Phoenix Open next year. If it actually happens.
It will. I think so.
They come out,
I mean, they had a million people to draft. Did you see that at the NFL draft? It was like literally the place is just jammed. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, they said everybody was vaccinated in the whole 9 yards, but the fact that went down, I think, I think things are going to start to, especially.
Wow, that was like a super spreader event, and they're like, "Oh wait, everyone's." I know a guy. I know a guy that like got vaccinated and then he got COVID. So
yeah.
I was like, he was pissed. He was like, I don't believe this shit. Like he was pissed. He's in the army. He was like, he texted me like, hey man, what's going on? He's like, oh, I got COVID. I was like, what?
Yeah.
It doesn't make you immune. You're not immune from it. It just makes it not as bad if you do get it. So it's almost like, it's not a magic bullet. I'm not saying not to get it. I got my shot. I get my second shot this week, actually.
Me too.
But did you get, when's your second shot? Because the day I talked to you on the phone. Friday?
Yeah. Friday.
That's what mine is too.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll be out Saturday, apparently.
We're both gonna be, my wife got it like 2 weeks ago and she did feel sick. Well, one of my partners at the firm got a second shot and like he came to work. He's like, I feel like shit. And I'm like, duh, why are you here?
Yeah.
He was chilled and freezing and stuff. I'm like, why are you here?
Was it like 24 hours or something like that?
Pretty much. Like no more than 48, unless you like have some weird side effect other than a bruised arm. So
yeah.
Well, now that's the COVID. That's our COVID part of the show. Just kidding. So anyway, you guys need to check out Redvanly, redvanly.com. I'll give you the Dutchman cell number if you have any questions. Just kidding.
911.
555. Seriously though, the pants, it'll blow your freaking mind. Like for reals. Like I want to try to get some more free pairs. So that's why I've been as excited about pants ever in my life. I wonder if I can work out. Can I work out those pants?
You can do whatever you want. You really could. Yeah, you really could.
I get tired of wearing like basketball shorts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
See, pants. The polos are really nice too, but I'm saying the pants, the shorts, the bomb. So, well, cool, man. I appreciate you coming on the show today. Be on the lookout for more Redvanly stuff on our site and on our channel because he sent me a care package. So we were doing an unboxing very soon, and I will talk to you soon.
Awesome, Paul. I appreciate the time.
All right, Dutchman.
All right, later, man.
All right, bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Behind the Golf Brand Podcast.
You're going to beat me at golf?
Stay connected on and off the show by visiting golfersauthority.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment.
Golf is always more fun when you win.
Stay out of the beach and see you on the green.